Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. We have more gaming and PlayStation news, rumours and leaks to go over. First up, we've got some early talk about the PlayStation 6. Now we all know hardware is not cheap these days. Prices keep climbing and it's not just gamers now who are feeling the pinch. Sony knows that if it wants the PlayStation 6 to succeed, like the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5, it cannot drop a $700 or $800 console onto the market. That price tag would lock too many people out from going ahead and buying a PlayStation 6. That's why, according to reports, Sony's strategy this time round is all about keeping the costs under control while giving players more options. One of the big moves is to build the PlayStation 6 with a detachable disk drive. If that sounds familiar, it's because Sony's already done this with the current generation PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 5 Pro. The idea is simple. You'll be able to buy a fully digital console or a bundle that comes with a disk drive included. And if you change your mind later, say you purchase the digital console and you change your mind later, you can buy the drive separately and then add it on. Flexibility like that helps keep the base console's cost down while still giving physical disc fans what they want. And to be honest, after the PlayStation 5 Pro came out, I did say at the time that the days of consoles being manufactured with a disc drive integrated into the console itself, well, sadly, those days are long gone. What we're going to see going forward are technically all digital consoles, but the option to attach a disc drive if you want to continue purchasing new or if you want to continue playing your old disc games. Insider Gaming also mentioned that Sony is working on slimming things down too. They're aiming for a simpler design that's smaller and lighter than the PlayStation 5. That means cheaper storage, easier shipping, and ultimately savings that hopefully will trickle down into the overall manufacturing cost of the PlayStation 6 to keep the price at a reasonable level. I mean, overall, it's not flashy news, but it is practical. And let's be honest, guys, would you rather have a console that's cutting edge but affordable, or something that balances power with fair price? I mean, personally, I'm looking for a cutting edge next generation machine. But realistically, price has got to come into it, right? That's the question Sony seems to be asking itself right now, especially for the launch of the PlayStation 6. What's their priority? Is it the price or is it the technology? And they have to find that balance between the two. The one thing I can almost guarantee is that when the PlayStation 6 Pro comes out, that will be pricey. It will also have all the bells and whistles on. It will be cutting edge and it will really push games to another technical level, but that's a whole separate conversation. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts on this. Are you surprised that Sony is making the next generation console with no disk drive built in, or did you expect this to happen? Let me know your thoughts and let's move on. So a brief update on Ghosts of Yotei. We've had small bursts of gameplay, mostly showing off combat, the weapons, and the kind of action you'd expect from a Sucker Punch game, but the latest footage takes a different approach. Instead of intense battles, what we have is Sony dropping a 10-minute video of pure landscape and scenery. Just wide shots of the game's open world paired with a calming soundtrack, and honestly is absolutely stunning. The video probably doesn't do it justice, but when you get an opportunity, go and check out the video on YouTube. It is absolutely fantastic. Looking at the footage, it feels like Sucker Punch has once again nailed the art direction, the forests, the mountains, the rivers. It's the kind of world you just want to wander through. You can already imagine people spending hours in photo mode, capturing every angle of the scenery. And the best part is that the wait is not too long. Ghosts of Yotei launches on October the 2nd. That's just 3.5 weeks time for greatness. Anyway, let's move on and talk about two big topics in gaming that keep coming up: Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake and the progress on Square Enix's flagship titles Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 and Kingdom Hearts 4. So let's start with KOTOR first. It's been a while since we've had any solid news about the remake. You might remember it was officially announced during PlayStation Showcase back in 2021. At the time, fans were really hyped for this game. This was one of the most beloved RPGs of all time, getting a modern reimagining. Since then, things haven't exactly gone smoothly. The project was first handled by Aspyr, a studio best known for porting classic games, but according to the reports, their version of the remake didn't make it very far. The development was abruptly halted and the project was eventually handed over to Saber Interactive. Now, the last official word we got was in April of last year when Saber's CEO, Matthew Karch, said that the remake was still alive and well. Encouraging words for sure, but here's a catch. We don't know how much of Aspyr's original work is being kept, or if Saber had to start from scratch again. And that makes a big difference in how long the game could take to actually release if it ever does come out. That uncertainty is really frustrating, but we recently got a small glimpse at what Aspyr had been working on before the Switch. A concept artist who worked on the project until 2021 shared an illustration. If you've played the original game, you probably remember exploring Kashak back in 2003. Well, this new artwork shows a much denser, more detailed forest canopy, lush vegetation, towering trees. It really felt like the team wanted to bring the planet to life in a way that matched modern expectations. Sadly, we may never get to see Aspyr's full version realized. Originally, the remake was announced as a PlayStation exclusive, but according to insider Jeff Grubb, Sony has quietly distanced itself from the project, and that suggests that if the remake ever does launch, it will likely release across multiple platforms instead of being locked down to just one platform. Now, while KOTOR's future still hangs in the balance, Star Wars fans do have a couple of other games to look forward to. There's the upcoming third entry in the Star Wars Jedi series, and there's also Star Wars Zero Company, which is a tactical turn-based game inspired by XCOM, which already has some images out in the wild. It's always interesting to get an update from anything to do with KOTOR, but whether we actually ever get to see the game or not, I don't know. Right now, I'm going to liken it to the pot of gold, which sits at the bottom of a rainbow. If you find the pot of gold, you'll find KOTOR Remake. Anyway, let's move on and take a look at Square Enix. During the second anniversary livestream for Final Fantasy VII, Ever Crisis creative director Tetsuya Nomura gave fans an update that's worth paying attention to. He confirmed that the development on the third part of the Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy is progressing smoothly. He even hinted that the release timing has already been decided and that the team is on track with their schedule. Of course, he didn't reveal much more than that. Square Enix hasn't even announced the official title for Part 3 yet, or which platforms it will actually release on, if it's going multi-plat day and date on launch, or whether it's going to be a PlayStation and maybe PC exclusive on launch. We don't know. There's no details on that just yet. But hearing that the project is moving along without major delays is definitely good news for fans who are waiting to see how this ambitious reimagining of the classic RPG will conclude. Nomura also confirmed that Kingdom Hearts 4 is making steady progress too. The last mainline game in the series came out back in 2019, so it's been a long wait for fans of the series. We don't yet know the platforms or the release date for Kingdom Hearts 4 either, but it's reassuring to know that both projects are actively moving forward. Square Enix has a history of keeping things close to their chest until they're ready to share big announcements. Hopefully, we get to hear more news soon, maybe at the Tokyo Game Show later this month. Anyway, let's move on. We all know the success Bungie has had with Halo and Destiny, but before those massive franchises, they had another series back in the 90s called Marathon, a sci-fi first-person shooter that in many ways laid the foundation for what Bungie would later recreate. However, Bungie has had real problems with the Marathon reboot. Early playtests for Marathon didn't land well. In fact, feedback was so negative that the game was delayed and pushed back. It was originally planned for release on September 23rd of this year, so that's not a normal delay. It was a sign that the game needed major changes. Since the first playtest, where essentially the game got panned and hammered, Bungie has gone back to the drawing board. New playtests began recently, and word is that these updated builds already feel like an improvement. Reports have leaked online that initially detailed how the game has improved. This was thanks to a Destiny 2 data miner called Colony Deeks. His posts were quickly taken down though after Bungie filed DMCA claims, but not before people caught a glimpse of what's new. One of the biggest additions is a new character codenamed Thief. Ironically, I can't believe they called a character Thief after being caught up in a plagiarism row about some of the artwork in the game. Anyway, there's a new character in the game codenamed Thief, who's now officially called Icon. Icon brings fresh gameplay mechanics into the mix, including a grappling hook for more vertical combat and an X-ray vision ability that lets you spot enemies and even highlight loot containers. Those kinds of mechanics can really change the pace of a match, making firefights more dynamic and strategic. The factions inside the game are also being reworked, complete with cinematic introductions that add more story flavor. Maps are evolving too. For example, the Outpost map has been updated with environmental hazards that add an extra layer of challenge. And then there's a brand new map set aboard the UESC Marathon, which is the spaceship from the original 90s game. This one isn't finished yet, but early testers said it included puzzle-like elements encouraging players to explore and unlock new areas. Bungie is clearly testing hard. At the end of August, they kicked off their third official playtest, and this month they launched a 30-day research study. Participants have to play at least an hour every single day, fill out surveys, and in return, they get a $500 gift card if they stick it out through until October the 7th. And that's a big commitment, but it shows Bungie is serious about gathering feedback. Now, it's also worth mentioning that screenshots of the new builds have also leaked out. Players noted improvements in better lighting, denser environments, and even new weapons. One sniper rifle, called the V99 Channel, was compared to the sniper from Team Fortress 2. Fast, powerful, and fun to use. But here's the million-dollar question. Can Bungie really pull this off? Extraction shooters are a tough genre to nail, and competition is fierce. Fans of the original Marathon will be hoping for something that honors the original legacy, while the new players are just looking for a polished, fun experience. Let's see how this plays out, but I have to say, even though I'm not a fan of these types of live service games, I'm glad to finally hear some good, positive news about a live service game being made by a Sony studio starting to make the round. So it's good, positive news all round about Marathon, finally. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on the articles discussed today in the video. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.